Okay, I'm recording. I don't think I've even uploaded the audio from the last one yet. I got so busy this week. Welcome to Blasted Sashes, episode 148. This is your weekly comic book review show where the only opinions that matter are ours. This is the first time catching the show. Every Wednesday we spend our hard-earned cash to pick up our comic pull list. If we like the book, it's a stash where we hold it and hug it and call it George. If the book is a blast, well, it'll be sent to the god of his choosing. Today we have on the panel, we have Joe and myself. Schedule conflicts, recording earlier in the day, premiering later, but we'll go ahead and get into the books for the week, and we'll start with Joe. What book would you like to talk about first?
Oh, man, I want to just go ahead and get this one out of the way. This is my pick of the week. It is just, it's the perfect combination of savagery. And, of course, that is Savage Avengers. Yes, this is my pick of the week. Man, what do you got in this? You got Wolverine, right? We already knew that. You got Conan the Barbarian. You already knew that. What you didn't know. Oh, and we also got Brother Voodoo, which, by the way, if you don't know who Brother Voodoo is, I know he's one of those kind of odd characters that pops in every now and then. That dude is savage in his own comic book, right? And then on top of that, you got a Venom symbiote locked up in a jar. Not Venom, but a symbiote locked up in a jar. And now Punisher's shown up. You have legitimately the most savage people in comic book history showing up ready to do some damage, and they're all pissed off, which makes it even better. This is just chaos ensued into, and I don't think these bad guys even understood what they were doing when they got involved in this. This is going to be great. This is going to be an epic story. I'm loving every bit of it. Super easy to read. You can get through it quickly. My pick of the week, Hard Stash.
Yeah, it's definitely not big on the words. It's more based on the action in this book, and that's what's badass. I mean, you got at the beginning, you have Wolverine just kicking ass, trying to figure out why he's not going down, why he's not dying, why is this not stopping him, And then Brother Voodoo's down. He tries to revive him. Spoilers there. We don't know if maybe Brother Voodoo may have some of the powers of Wolverine now because of the blood transfusion. Who knows? So that's kind of interesting. And towards the end, I got a question for you, since you have a military background. I love the scene. Absolutely loved it. When Punisher's walking in and they think, oh, he walked right into our trap. And they flip his coat up and he has a claymore strapped to his back. And they're like, well, what does that read? And it says, was it
face towards enemy?
Face towards enemy.
That is actually on a Claymore mine.
That is. I know. I've seen Claymore that. But my question is, when that thing goes off, wouldn't that just blow his back up? Even though the explosion's outward, you still have the back pressure back toward the back, right?
Actually, it's not. The design of it is actually very simplistic. You can be legitimate behind it to some degree. So think of it as more like you wear a bulletproof vest, right?
Yeah.
And you come out with a handgun. Not the best thing in the world, but it won't kill you, right? So It's kind of like that kind of pressure. Yes, it's going to hurt, but no, it's directed to actually contain the blast in this kind of shape manner and out.
It's almost like little pellets in there, right? Little lead balls, and it just absolutely. And I thought that was great, but that was my concern with that scene. Is like, seemed like his lower back would just throw vertebrae out just from the pressure, but. Yeah, simple book. Savage Avengers. I mean, it has people who are just going there and kick ass, and I think that's what I dig about the book. Let's just it's testosterone filled, no estrogen at all in here.
It is geared towards a very, very specific demographic. It is awesome.
Yeah. I do love that scene too toward the end when was it Brother Voodoo wakes up? Is that who finds him? And Wolverine's just arrows and swords and everything into him, but he still survives, still breathing. That was a pretty badass scene too.
When Brother Voodoo does that web thing and just crushes those guys. Just...
Now this character in here, this main character, this villain who it talks about the Nazi he falls from the sky and lands in Savage Land. That Kulan Gath?
Kulan Gold, yeah.
So, was his first appearance in last episode or last issue? Was he like a new character?
In issue 1. Yeah.
Is he a new character in the Marvel universe?
I'm assuming so. I didn't recognize the name. I can look it up, but I didn't recognize the name anywhere of them or the other wizard guy. But then again, we're also dealing with a lot of different continuities here because, it's a Savage Land. So I guess we would have to look in that direction.
Yeah, it was kind of cool to see that. You talked about the dogfights and the plane going down in that Nazi pilot, and that Kulan guy found him and trying to figure out maybe he was worthy, and he kind of went into his memories and saw the concentration camp and saw all the evil that he was a part of, and oh, you were worthy for serving me. That was kind of interesting too. But definitely good book. I'm not sure if this is a miniseries or not, but it's good stuff. Let's jump into. I'll do a book that you didn't read, you don't read, and that is, and everybody's talking about this book because of the significance of what happened in this book, and spoilers all around. We'll talk spoiler. We try to keep spoiler free, but just be forewarned. There are spoilers in this show. So, and that's Walking Dead 192. You don't read this book, but do you know what happened in this book, Joe?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think everybody even though they don't read the book, they know what happened in here. So this is a pretty significant book. Main character.
Well, that one and the one before it too, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's
one before that ends with Sebastian, who is the Governor Milton's son, who's pretty pissed off that kind of her mom got overthrown from Commonwealth. Rick is feeling pretty good. He's feeling like they're moving forward into a place that he likes. He has that good combination of what he likes in leadership and the modernization of this town, and he feels like there might be a good balance there after Governor Milton's kind of been removed. Well, her son Sebastian's got used to this lifestyle. He's been a kind of a shithead throughout most of since his appearance in the book. Kind of a rich kid, spoiled, and Rick's laying in bed at night, and at the end of last issue 191, Sebastian comes in and shoots him once, and they're left with that cliffhanger. It was Rick gonna die, and I think a lot of people think Rick can't die. He's the main character, but Kirkman said a long time ago he knew Rick was not going to survive this series. He's going to die at some point, and at the beginning of this book, Rick's alive, saying, why'd you do this? Sebastian shoots him 2 more times, end up dying. And it shows a couple panels of him just laying there dead. Carl wakes up in the morning, going to go get his dad, going to go get breakfast. And of course, his dad's a walker in the room. And what's Carl do? He ends up shooting his dad. When he talks to Michonne later, which is kind of I guess living in that world would be that way. He said he did not see his dad when he first walked in the room. He saw a walker. He didn't realize it was his dad till after the fact. He reacted. How the life they've been living and survival mode they're in. It's like if it's a walker, kill it, you're surviving. And he said he saw that walker first. He never even saw his dad. And as soon as his dad went down, and then he realized what had happened, what he had done. And that sets the emotional tone for the kind of the rest of the book, and how all these people are with the loss of Rick, the funeral procession and all that stuff. It's just a pretty emotional issue. They're going to have a second print on that with it's a red background with Rick Grimes, and it says 2003 to 2019, so kind of in memory of Rick Grimes. So just a big issue of losing that main character. I know Drew was talking about dropping this book altogether because Rick was off it now, but I don't know. Well, I'm kind of looking forward to see what happens now. Who's going to take over that leadership role? So it's good stuff, though. Definitely leading up to it was kind of dragging along, building the story into a big moment like this. So it's good stuff. That's a stash for me. And Joe, your next book.
I wasn't paying attention at the beginning of the show, so I don't know what you have versus what I have. So I'm just going to talk about stuff.
Okay, fine.
Let's go ahead and talk about DCeased. Now, I went with this beautiful homage cover from from Freddy Krueger. I'm liking this. I liked issue 1. I know a lot of people didn't like issue 1, or they were hesitant towards issue 1, I guess is the best word. This one, I think this is fitting fine. We got Hal Jordan. Apparently he's infected now. Now we know for sure that they are technically Walking Dead because the Green Lantern ring came off, and now Black Canary is a Green Lantern. I don't know how I feel about that. I think that's a little odd, but whatever. Let's see what happens. I'm all for that. We got the Super Sons. I don't like the way that they're drawn in this. I have to agree with a lot of people on it. It just looks weird. But I do like the story behind it. Batman's obvious death is very heartfelt. So, yeah, there's a lot of heart in this, a lot of nuancey things that are kind of happening. I'm kind of curious how this ends up. It's keeping me hooked, I think, is what I'm ultimately trying to say. It keeps me wondering what's going to happen next, or who's going to get infected next, or what old hero they're going to bring in, because these big series, they always like to bring in some random hero that we've all forgotten about. Kind of curious to see who that's going to be. So, yeah, it's good. And we also found out that the particular anti-life equation is both biological and technical. So I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I get a blood-to-blood transference thing, and I also get how a computer can go bad or maybe even affect the brain in some way. But it being both of them, I don't like that, because you're oversimplifying something in that case. So, all right, for instance, when I bite something and I inject something into it, it can mess up the body, right, and affect the brain. And then all of a sudden, but technically, if it's something that you visually watch and intake, it won't affect the brain the same way. So I think they just kind of oversimplified it with, okay, not only do the people get bitten, but let's go ahead and put it on their phones too. I think one of those would have done the exact same thing. I don't think you need both of them. But, that's what they went with. It doesn't make much sense to me, but hey, I'm not a comic book writer. I just read them. But other than that, this is a stash. I do like it. I can get past that one point. I really like what they're doing in this.
Yeah, a couple great scenes. The whole camping scene with Green Lantern, Green Arrow, and Black Canary, that was really cool. Green Arrow sitting there making fun of Hal Jordan and called him with a Captain Killjoy or whatever that. He's standing to salute him, because he's sucking all the fun out of it, because I guess it's not Hal Jordan's thing. There was that badass scene when Hal Jordan does get on his phone, he burst out of his tent. That way he looked kind of badass there, I thought. Mm-hmm. The Black Canary, of course, I guess she must have just scrambled his brain with the scream, just destroyed the brain at that point. That's why he died. Black Canary looks kind of cool as a Green Lantern, though. I thought she looks a lot like, with the leather jacket. She kind of reminds me of, what was that? The bowl cut Green Lantern. Guy Gardner, yes. Kind of has that leather jacket thing. Damien does look a little older in here. He doesn't look like like a 10-year-old or 12-year-old kid. He looks like he's 18, or whatever. Doesn't look like the old thing. What I do like about this, I'm a big Batman fan, but I like the fact that Batman's not going to be the one to save this. It's going to be somebody else, because usually it's Batman. He figures out how to do something on his back computer, and he saves the day because he's been hiding something the entire time from the Justice League or from whoever, and he does it on his own without their knowledge. I like the fact that Batman's kind of out of the equation with this. that they're going to maybe have somebody else that's going to be the hero in this whole thing. I do like the fact that he talks about using Mr. Freeze's suits to kind of slow down that virus, but you know, it overtakes him eventually. But Damian, it does have that emotional part when, you know, he calls him father as almost as condescending a lot of times, you know. Yes, father. But when he says dad, I don't know, that kind of got me a little bit more. Like you do realize he does care about him. It's not just this relationship that Damian's kind of cold and off-putting. He actually has feelings for Bruce, which is kind of cool. I love that scene. It ended kind of abruptly, of course. I didn't see like to be continued or anything. What's that?
What do you think's in the suitcase he's leaving for him?
I don't know. I have no clue. That's what I'm wondering, if he's maybe good. Maybe it is maybe Damian is going to be the one to solve the problem via Batman leaving him a case behind. So Batman would have saved the day anyhow. Who knows? It could be. But it looks like it's something that he's had sitting there for a while, waiting for the right time to give to Damian. So,
a lot of people have been saying it's his own new bat suit. He's taking the moniker type of thing. There's a crown and a cape in there for him, you know, so he could be the Batman now instead of just the Robin.
Yeah,
I don't know. That seems a little, I don't know, but yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what's in the case now.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that'll probably have something to do with how the story ends too. That secret in there, but that last page, bang, usually it says to be continued or whatever, and I'm like flipping the next page. Oh wait, here's the story from Krypton. So that's just how it ends. I'm like, that's just, I mean, I don't have a problem much with that, but at least say, hey, to be continued or something on there. I think that would be a little nice. But I got all three covers. I got the main cover A, I got the Freddy Krueger Nightmare on Elm Street homage, and I got this, I think it's Matina cover as well with the Superman all
jacked up. Yeah.
So this will be going out to the cover of the week I'll announce that on Facebook here probably later tonight. That'll be headed out to that person. And I did order the book of the month. I have to go back and look at what it was. I ordered a couple books. I got a couple for the next couple months, so we'll be on the lookout for that too. And I got to announce the winner for that book. Okay, move on. Let's move on. Let's talk about this book. Let's talk about it. And I was a little hesitant to. I'm like, oh man, I don't know how much was this. It was a $5 book. It was a one shot, and that is The Incredible Hulk Last Call. This, I actually enjoyed this book. I didn't think I was going to.
Okay.
You didn't like it?
I think we're over. I'll talk about it in my review.
Okay. So we have Bruce calling a suicide hotline. And it's actually somebody who knows Betty, and he's sitting there talking about trying to end it all. He has a hitman waiting for his signal to put was it a gamma? I don't know if it was gamma. I don't remember what it was. A bullet in him to kill him. He's talking to this operator at the suicide place and saying that Betty would be alive if he didn't do this, he didn't do that. You know, there's a lot of like depression and emotional stuff going on here. He talked about the first time he met Betty and how Betty normally doesn't talk to guys. That's what, according to Thunderbolt Ross, but yet Bruce kind of caught her attention, and that's how they kind of met and moved forward into a relationship. But it seemed like that. Now, I'm not sure if this is just him looking back and thinking that, but here he is talking to Betty, and the Hulk's kind of in the background. Maybe the Hulk's always been there at one point, but it took that gamma radiation in order to bring that Hulk out. And, you know, like here, the Hulk is saying, there's no point, Banner. I know what you're thinking. You want her right now, don't you? You sick freak. You know, and so the Hulk's talking to him in the background, but Hulk has not presented himself yet. But this goes on talking about their relationship and how it's built and how much love there is and how much stuff would have been different if he hadn't been the Hulk. Rick Jones would have followed his career path and to be a great musician. Thunderbolt Ross will maybe have gone on to be president, his ultimate goal, and Betty might have actually married the first guy. Was it Betty? Was talking about meeting some other guy and having a family. So, and it talks about her turning into the harpy and all that stuff in that fight. And then the woman's she'd been talking to some guy she met last night. She got, how drunk was I? I gave her my phone number. And the guy's really pushy about it. We find out it is Mr. Hyde. And because Banner recognizes the voice and he turns into Hulk and saves her. And she says, that's why you're here. Betty would want you here. She doesn't want you dead. And a spoiler alert, the hitman that's waiting to kill Bruce in the shadows, which was my favorite part, was Deadpool. Deadpool's up on this with a gun. He's like, well, no, I really didn't really want to do it anyhow. He said, please, it's, I mean, like God damn, why can't I think of his name? Batman stuff. Going through emotional. These heroes are going through emotional, real world stuff. I don't know if I like it so much, but it's okay. This one was okay. I thought it was good. I'm not sure if I would pay for being one shot. Pay $5.99 or $4.99 for it. I may wait for it to come out and find $1 bin and read it, but it was good enough. Joe, what's your psychological take on?
I'm not going to go so much psychological in this. I did like this cover though with Deadpool on it. It is why I picked it up. I try not to buy covers anymore, but that was just cool. So basically, what do you got? You got a story about rage, remorse, guilt, and it's all getting broken down into an introspect of some point where he determines that he wants to kill himself. But he knows he can't kill himself because the Hulk will just pop out and make everything better, as we saw in the movie where Bruce Banner even said, I tried to eat a bullet and he caught it, So an interest, what am I trying to say? The introspective of himself is guilty, obviously, but he so wants to die, but he doesn't really want to die. I want to make that clear. He wants to kill the Hulk. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want to die himself. He wants to kill the Hulk because everything the Hulk did, right? So, and he feels guilt because he thinks that he's connected to it. So then we get an existential threat, and of course, he's revalidated that the Hulk has a purpose because this one particular nuancy thing happened, and the Hulk was there to save it. Mind you, so was Deadpool.
Yeah.
That's kind of my problem with it, right? So technically Deadpool could have stopped the problem too, but okay, whatever. The Hulk did it. He justified, validated himself. That's why he's important and why somebody wants to help him. The problem with all this is we're starting to take mental health issues like suicide, depression, they say PTSD whenever they review a book, and all these other things, right? And we're making them really nuancy things, and then some existential threat validates their necessity to be in this environment. The problem is that's not how depression, PTSD, suicidal thoughts actually work. If you want to kill yourself, all of a sudden some magical thing isn't going to happen to give you justification of your life. Chances are you're so depressed at that point that you probably won't even realize that you're needed in your environment. So I'm getting kind of worried that they're kind of harping on this mental health stuff just a little too much. And they're hanging their hats on this because they think they're bringing awareness to it. You're telling a fictional story. I highly suggest you just stick to that, because like every other issue this week is dealing with some sort of mental issue, and they're putting that forward to you. They did it in Heroes in Crisis way too much. This issue just basically bounced off of that with the same type of issues. I get nervous when they kind of hang their hat on this because you take awareness away and you put stigmata on it when it's too engaged. And I think that's what they're doing in this. But that's way too deep of a thought for a comic book review. All in all, I kind of like the comic book. Just wish they kind of lighten up a little bit. It is a comic book. Not everything needs to be awareness. So, yeah.
Now, to go off of comics, I mean, again, to go off your military career and stuff like that. Now, does depression and PTSD go hand in hand, or could somebody have PTSD and not have depression? I mean,
okay, so it's actually not my military experience. It's more about when I worked at the VA. with the
Well,
VA.
with your military background and stuff you've dealt with,
All right, so
working.
let's talk about it. All right, there's 2 stages, right? The depression is usually a key of it, but the problem is if you go manic, meaning hyperbolic, constantly seeking, junking, or risk behavior, drinking, driving fast, just doing dickhole stuff, right? And then there's depression where you can't decide if you want to put a bottle in your mouth or the barrel of a gun, right? Those are 2 very extreme things. It's generally where the average soldier will go if they have PTSD. The reason being is in a combat environment, in a retroactive versus offensive action. All right, so we should explain that real quick. All right, so most soldiers are reactionary. They're out there, something happens to them, then they have to engage. That creates a problem, right? Offensive soldiers are people that have to go out there and go, 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 go. They're on the attacking side, right? So you would be surprised that the people that are constantly attacking are less susceptible to PTSD because they are in control of their environment to some degree. On the other hand, when you're offensive and things happen to you, you're more acceptable because it's constantly a shock to your system and your brain. You can't comprehend and get your head around why this is constantly happening. So what you find out is the people that are offensive will generally seek risk behavior because their adrenaline has been spiked so much. Adrenaline in the body is an addictive drug. So your body starts craving it. You start craving more actions. Now, on the opposite side, if you charge to alcoholism and then eventually suicide, if you follow that chart, generally you'll see the person's attitude. They're not thrill seeking. They just want to drink. They don't care about anybody else. And they kind of hype onto that reward system of the brain that's overstimulated because alcohol is a reward to the brain, just like any other drug would be. And they kind of go that route until they realize consciously that they can't live that way anymore, which is a horrible thing to do.
Didn't mean to dive off into something a little depressive, but I just from I don't have anything to deal with that. I know you talk to a lot of people who have served and stuff like that, and you've had a lot more experience with talking. So that's why I asked you that. So.
Yeah, I actually do these talks for the every conference at the American Legion. We kind of do like a TEDx thing, and we kind of talk about that. And a lot of people end up very surprised that for a while they just thought they were assholes. No, they have PTSD and they're depressed. So we need to have a conversation now instead of instruction. It always surprises me that people don't realize that they suffer from this stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Okay. Well, let's jump up.
I'm worried. I'm curious to see what the chat's doing.
Oh my God! This went into a mental health show. So go ahead and give us our next book, Joe. Let's just get back onto comic books and
let's get really light. Let's talk about Black Cat #1. Man, I first off, check that cover out. Come on now. How can you not pick that cover up? That was probably my favorite one out of all of them. And I swore I would only get one cover. I was not trying to buy all 150 covers or whatever. It was absolutely ridiculous. So what do we got in this? We got just a great whimsical story. It's fun. I really liked it. I liked this character, the Black Fox, that was towards the back of it. Story had a lot of heart. I love these new characters, these henchmen that actually have some story behind them. So my favorite one is the doctor guy who's constantly wanting to over extreme make an explosive. I can hit him with anthrax. That's one of his things. I really liked it, and I think it was a good break, and it was just fun. I think that was the big thing about it. It was just a fun comic book, and it made fun of its own medium to some degree. So yeah, I'm gonna pick up issue #2, of course, because this was an issue 1. But I got a feeling it's not going to have much staying power. I think it's just going to be it will kind of bleed off and get boring kind of quick, unfortunately. Because I just don't think the writer has the moxie to keep it going in this type of fashion. Eventually, it's going to get to something stupid and serious, and everybody will get bored with it. That's my prediction. But for this issue right here, definitely read it. The backstory in the back, the main story, just great comic book writing. And it was just a joy.
I unfortunately read maybe 6 pages into it and I fell asleep, so I didn't get a chance to finish reading it. I went with the Art Germ cover. I'm an Art Germ fan, so I had to get that one. This is probably one of those books that, just like Catwoman, of course, I mean, this is Marvel's Catwoman, essentially. You know, it's the same character. The only reason I would probably pick these up if they have cool Art Germ covers or Frank Cho covers, unfortunately. You know, I did get this cover, and I got the cover A, the J. Scott Campbell cover 2, somewhere around here. But mainly that was a cover buy for me. I wanted to get the Virgin one, but I didn't. This wasn't intrusive enough, so the black cat across the top. The Virgin just didn't have this. I'm like, dude, I'm not paying $50 just to not have that.
$50 just to take away black cat.
And this wasn't worth it for me. Although now it's going for $150 on eBay. You know, that's the downside. If you're speculating, you want to buy that and flip it and make some money, have at it. But my pull list is already big enough that I don't need to add $50 for one single book. So, fortunately, I did not read that all the way through. Let's see here. What else? Well, didn't read that one all the way through. When we get to that, I'll explain that. So let's talk. Let's talk about this one. I'll talk about this. This was pretty good. This was by Image Comics. This is Sean Lewis and Hayden Sherman, which I liked. They have 2 creators with normal names that I can pronounce on the first time. I don't have to worry about Shamalama Ding Dong or nothing like that. And that is Thumbs #1. So this is a combination of Ready Player One. It was another movie I had in mind. So essentially, it's all about VR. This new VR world to where the government deems it. I can kind of mix signals with it. So these kids playing VR, they progress the next level, and they end up going to a place called Fortress Victory, where they kind of work to overthrow the government, the United States. So it's kind of like this program where they figure out Last Starfighter, you know, when he goes in there, he plays a game, and they go, oh, dude, this guy's great. Let's get him in here. So that's what they're doing with these kids. The government is then, you know, taking over this program, and they have this software stuff that's called Mom. So, like, these kids are left at home. It's like this software that kind of takes care of the kids. It's like it's a little VR thing. And let me see if I can find a picture of it here. Little backstory. So, like, that's it right there. A little red blob, and it's essentially, you know, taking care of the main kid, Charlie, or Thumbs, and his sister, Tabitha. But at the beginning of the book, we have this character named Nia is running Charlie in on this gurney. He got blasted all to shit. And she's trying to save him. She's running in and saying, hey, we need help. We need to save this kid. They're best friends. I see a little bit of, in the art, John Romita Jr. A little bit. Some panels kind of reminds me of John Romita Jr. So what happened is that they recorded what had happened. They're playing it back. They showed that he didn't cover his butt and he got shot and now he's on the verge of dying. And they say they're going to go ahead and put him to sleep until they can find out a medical cure for him. So he's like, I don't think they ever reveal his age here, but he's a young kid, younger than 14, I think. And so they end up putting him into a coma. And then it goes through a little backstory talking about him and his sister and how the government's kind of they want to rip this program, the government, and it shouldn't be out there for these kids to be in because essentially it's almost like a recruiting program to overthrow the government. So they're destroying people. Nia and Charlie Thumbs are the top 2 players in this game, and so they go to destroy them as well, kill them for being those top 2 players. And then that's when it jumps forward to them kind of being warriors or fighters in this overthrow for the government. But that medical-induced coma they put Charlie in, he ends up waking up from that. Wires all attached to him, thing covered in his wee-wee. It's a really weird panel. But he wakes up and he is 21. He was 15. That's what it says right here. And now he's 21 years old. So he's been in coma for 6 years. And now he's trying to figure out what's going on. There's a big... he says, what happened? And that mom app is still there. It says, before or after the massacre, U.S. soldiers targeting Camus arrived, executed for treason, no prisoners taken. And they talk about the battle and stuff like that. And his friend Nia and his sister both are missing. And he says, I'm going to find Nia and my sister, and I'm going to kill these people. And it says, I know. It says, your mom is here to help. So it's kind of an interesting take on VR and I don't know if it's anarchy, but, overthrowing the government. And, I mean, I'm sure there are programs out there that monitor and see how kids react and stuff and see if it'd be good for... I don't think a government assassination or a government overthrow program, but you never know. But I'll pick up issue 2 on that. It was interesting enough. The art was okay. I'm not a big fan of it. I said it kind of hinted John Romita Jr. in some areas of it, but it's good. I think I'd stash it and I'd pick up issue 2 for thumbs.
Okay, pretty cool. I'll have to keep my eyes open for that. That sounds like a good read. All right, let's talk about stuff. Am I blasting something or am I stashing? I don't know. How have I been so far? I've been pretty
good. Stashing everything so far.
I've been stashing everything, so let's go ahead and blast something. Well, congratulations, Marvel. You did it. You had one good X-Men title out, and you were like, nope, we have to screw that up. Welcome to Kenny X-Men. This is number 19. So what do we got going on here? They had a great story, right? They had Cyclops back from the dead or from wherever. Then he's teamed up with Wolverine, and they're doing their shenanigans. And then it had to get all deep and BS-y, and then we had to all of a sudden interject just another random character, which is Emma Frost in this one. Now, I know that there's a pass with Emma Frost and Cyclops and that whole group there, but there's no reason for her to be in this story because in this issue proves it. Because all we did in this issue was go back and find out how she was really involved the entire time when Scott came back or Cyclops came back, and how she actually talked to everybody, but she mind wiped everybody to make them forget it. So why do it in the first place? That doesn't make any sense to me. But hey, apparently the writer thought that this was important. This issue was absolutely just garbage written. And it's a filler issue at best. And I don't think Emma Frost needs to play that big of a role in this one. I like Mystique being back. I like that. But really, I'm not getting the point of it. And also, why is in the last issue, Juggernaut's the one that kind of brought all this up? And everybody was like, who's Emma Frost? And then so now we get basically a re-entry of her. That's all I got for you. So what? Like, what? Who cares? In the next issue, you cannot make her that much more interesting. You tried in this one and it failed. Stop. Just write a comic book. Stop trying to tell an overly complicated story with a very simple ending, because that's all this is going to end. The more complicated, the more simple the ending. If that's the case, then just save it for Age of X-Men or whatever those other garbage line books that I think Drew likes. Save it for those. Just tell a good comic book story. We're not asking for much here. But hey, what do I know? I just read comic books.
So it kind of sounds like the Avengers Voyager time. Was it Voyager that was there the entire time, but she did the mind wipe on them, and they did the same thing there. That was that. Yeah.
This thing's the equivalent of, how every sitcom has a flashback episode? Yeah, that's pretty much what this was. It is ridiculous.
Okay. Well, we both read this one. Well, this is the other one that I read for just a little bit, and then I said, you know what? I'm not going to finish reading this. And what irritated me about it was, okay, so it had 4 different writers, 4 different stories. So we had Donny Cates, Al Ewing, Teenie Howard, Jack Thompson. Now, 3 of those people I like pretty well. You know, Al Ewing on Hulk. Teenie Howard has just done some great stuff. Donny Cates, of course. Donny Cates' story is only 1 page long with Cosmos, the Cosmo, the dog. And I'm like, what the hell? Do a 1 page for Cates? That's crazy. And then, you know, I'm reading through Richard Rider's, which I thought was funny. He goes, Richard Rider, Nova Centurion, 11249-44396. It's critical you pay attention at this time. He's at the bar ordering a drink. You know, it has like this dramatic pose, and then it's just him. That was kind of funny. But what killed me here is reading through that. All of a sudden, you know, it's like 5 more panels in, 6 more panels in. See Silver Surfer Black #1 next week, dude. I don't want. This should have came after that. I don't know why this is coming before that. Yeah. Why are they telling me to read a book next week? Most of the time they say, hey, check out this. Do you remember this happened this here?
And it seems like a big plot point, too. Like, you do it nuancy just to get people hooked, but it's actually a big plot point that they did that. I hate it when they do that. It pisses me off.
So I stopped reading it. I just said, you know what? I'm not going to read this. I don't know. If they're telling me that this is a point of the book for next week, why are you doing that to me? So I ended up stopped reading that. So that's probably my blast of the week. I didn't read any more. Were there any other stories that were good in there, Joe?
No. You pretty much got to read the next issue because, again, it apparently whatever happens in the Silver Surfer Black is a major plot point, and it is the plot device for everything that happens in this book because they keep referring to it. This black hole situation. Mm-hmm. So you have no idea what's going on. It's just a bunch of people interacting with each other. And also, who the hell said Darkhawk was a good comic book character? I've always hated that character.
Mike.
I don't understand the relevance of that character. But apparently they're trying to make him a big deal now. Okay, fine. I get why you put the talking dog in there. That's just comedic goodness right there, especially when it's Russian. Right? But... Darkhawk's not an interesting character to me. I know they've tried it in the 90s. They tried to make it shiny. They tried. And the truth is, you can go get every issue of Darkhawk in a 50-cent bin anywhere in the United States. I mean, I don't get it. But hey, you know, keep trying. Pulsar, okay, it's Pulsar. Everybody's themselves, but again, you don't really understand what's going on in this story because the book hasn't come out yet that it's referencing. So, and that's just annoying. I mean, it seems like whatever it is, it's really cool, right? I'll go ahead and say that. Whatever happened seems like a really cool concept, right? This book probably kind of spoiled it because we know everybody survived. So I don't know. I don't know why they would do this. This doesn't make any sense unless it's just so cool in Silver Surfer Black. Maybe this entire book. Yeah, I guess it does make sense in a marketing ploy. You know, make this book as confusing as possible, referencing a book that hasn't come out yet, so you'll go buy the other book.
Yeah.
You got to understand what happened, right? Okay, I'll buy that. And kudos to the marketing team for thinking of that. But other than that, I don't know. I'm going to say it's a soft stash for right now, just to see what happens in Silver Surfer Black, and if it's not that big of a deal, then this is just a confusing, stupid book. I'll set it on fire. Burn it.
Okay.
My turn?
It is your turn. Yeah. I'm just crossing it out here. There it is. D.
Okay, so let's talk about Justice League number 25. Did you read this? I forget.
I have it. I've been picking up Justice League since this new beginning, but I have fallen off. I don't know why I keep picking them up.
All right, so spoiler alert. So we finally end up with that entire mess of a story where they're in the 6th dimension with the World Forger. By the way, the World Forger is now a part of the Justice League because, you know, feels words and you know, the one simple thing he could not figure out. Somebody explained it to him. So garbage story, right? But now, since he's part of that, they come back to their own reality, and they're right there at the beginnings of Year of the Villain. Now, I liked Year of the Villain. I thought it was a great book. And that's what inspired the whole villains contest, right? So So now they're landed right there, and they realize it's a lot bigger. Well, actually, the whole situation's a lot bigger than we originally thought, right? So Lex Luthor is going to kill himself, but he gave all of his money and resources to every single villain out there just to do villainy. And there's a clone of him being made someplace else with Brainiac. Because let's be honest, you can't just kill Lex Luthor, right? And it looks like everybody's kind of encouraged now just to basically take over. Kind of twisted. I really like some of the narrative in here where they talk about, how the villains are often seen as villains, but they're the ones doing this and this and this, and he goes through these things. I kind of started shaking my head with it, and like, I don't know. I think comic books are making me an evil person, but I kind of started agreeing with some of it, and I'm really interested in that storyline probably more than I was with this sixth dimension weirdness that was going on. And plus, they keep going with these very stoic covers. I do like that. My wife said she absolutely hates this Green Lantern thing going on down here. She's like, it looks like two pictures. It's stupid. She doesn't even read comic books, but she caught that. But I don't like the World Forger as a character. I wish they'd just go ahead and kill him. But now they got to go find the Monitor and the Anti-Monitor and have a chat with them for reasons. They don't really make that clear why that's a thing. Okay, fine. Give me something where good guys are fighting bad guys. I like that interaction, and even the Wasp. I think they're focused too much on this other outer worldly existential space cosmos, and they're trying to wrap it into reality and dimensions. And then you got a human being aspect, reality as we know it as well. And it's a lot to comprehend. They kind of need to streamline that out a little bit, and I think it would make more sense as a story because it's just all over the place.
Yeah, is Perpetua still a thing?
Yes.
So that really hasn't been.
Why?
Yeah, so I'm saying so it really hasn't built that story very much. You know that she's kind of out there, but nothing, no big roles yet. Okay.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing is that World Forger thinks he needs to go grab his two brothers because they ultimately defeated her at one time when she tried to create the villains. Well, Doom has Perpetua now, and she's working with them in some capacity. We're not really sure what that is. So he's going to go grab his two brothers so they can fight Perpetua. And then Lex Luthor, of course, is now bigger, better, and faster. And apparently Perpetua's original plan will be brought to fruition through Doom, and we're assuming that that's part of the plan.
Okay.
Again, a lot of stuff going, way too much. Streamline this story out, because it's actually a good story, but it's too much. It's all over the place. It's like the cover. Too much going on.
I think that's cover A. I think that was definitely better than cover B. Apparently, my screen is frozen on OBS. I'm trying to check it out here. That's not good. I'm good there, but frozen on OBS. That no bueno. Try clicking back to you. Yeah, I think you're still good. Yeah. Maybe it's just
you're moving on mine. There's a slight delay, but you're moving.
Yeah. Okay. Now, for some reason, OBS is freezing. So if you've caught some frozen parts, I've tried to kick back and forth between the screen. I'm trying to watch OBS now to make sure we're not frozen the entire time. Works good in audio, not so good in visual. So my next book is, what number is this? Red Sonja number 5. Another great Lindner cover on that. I always pick up Lindner if I can catch him. So there's, when we first started picking up this Red Sonja book, if you think of Conan, he's not really much of like a military strategist kind of guy. He's more of just a bruiser and just goes in there and just wipes crap out, So like this book's more of military strategy, With that first book, they talked about pulling back and letting the other guys' forces come forward while they went around behind and destroyed the treasury and all that stuff. So this is kind of some of the same thing where we have Dragon the Magnificent. He's this ruler of this guy that's trying to find Red Sonja, and as he's going through to find where she is, he's destroying villages, burning them down, killing people, taking their resources for his troops as they're moving forward. So Red Sonja has she's kind of a slave girl. She comes in and suggests a what they need to do, and the one guy, her actually advisor, saying that's a horrible idea. We shouldn't do that. And they kind of explain a little bit further and what they decided to do. So instead of allowing this enemy force come through and take all the resources, burn the place down, they're going to burn the place down and move on. And so that way, that military group comes up, their enemies, they have no resources to try to be able to move forward. No food, no anything like that. And they're talking about how, you don't need to have that emotional connection to that. You need to be more of just like, hey, there's nothing here for me. We need to move on. We need to take what we need from it and move forward. And that's this whole story here, and them arguing back and forth about, is this the right idea to do so? And toward the end of the book, we find out that Red Sonja's cousin, who has been kind of helping her throughout this whole time, got captured, and the Dragon guy has sent a note saying that they're going to kill him unless they give up. Essentially, ransom must be made before Dragon the Magnificent can secure the prisoner's release. If this is not done, prisoners shall die a traitor's death. And then. And that, like I said, Red Sonja was on that teetering edge. Should I burn this place down? Should I burn and move on? And her cousin getting captured kind of pushed that over the edge and said, yeah, burn it all. And so that's kind of pissed her off. And that's how it ends, with them riding away from their burnt down village, where they're not leaving resources for any of the attacking forces coming through. So, like I said, I was a little bit surprised because they have more of the, military strategy versus just going in balls to the wall and just killing people, trying to figure out how either starve the enemy forces out, remove their resources, remove their capability of moving forward. It's kind of interesting to see that aspect of like this medieval type character. So it's definitely good stuff, and I'm enjoying it still. And
Good stuff.
Moving on to
I don't know what to talk about. There's so much stuff going on. Oh, let's blast something else. Oh my God, this was some garbage. Shit. Like, thank God you got fired, but too bad they couldn't fire you sooner. You horrible, simplistic. I want to say bad words that will get me banned from YouTube. Look, I'm so happy you got fired. This was your swan song, sir. Goodbye. Hey, goodbye. Just was absolutely just garbage. And I predicted it on my own show. I sat right over there. I have a little desk right over there where I do my own show from. And I sat there and I said, how much you want to make? I hadn't read it yet. How much you want to make a bet? They're going to harp some more on Catwoman and him not getting married. Hey, congratulations. They did. Oh, God, I hate your very existence, sir. I am so glad you got fired. You need to go write comic strips, not comic books. Oh, so if you don't know, this complete entire thing is nothing more than a mental narration. And you think it's from Batman, but no, it's from Batman's father. I forget his name right now because it doesn't matter.
Thomas Wayne.
From another timeline. Yeah, Thomas Wayne. Because he's from another timeline. And he's sitting there talking about Bruce Wayne, who's not really his son. Like, legitimately, he's not really his son. He's from another timeline, another dimension, whatever you want to say. He has nothing to do with him in reality. But whatever, because words and feelings and, so much goes on in my mind that I have to put it out there in an unscrambled mess. This thing was poorly written. The dialogue did not make any sense throughout it. And all it was a recap of somebody's emotional distress. And I hate to say it, I don't think it's Batman's. I think Old King's got some issues. And he sit down with a therapist, maybe take some Drumanchu or something along those lines to kind of equalize his obvious issues. This is not character speech. This is writer putting his own shit on paper. I promise you that. The dude's got issues because there's no way we're expected to believe that our characters in a comic book are that deep. I'm sorry. That's what the reviewers do, not what the writers do. Holy crap, you garbage person. Go get help. Help yourself by getting help. Call a hotline. Seriously, stop. Yeah, I think.
Go ahead. You got something else?
Nope.
Oh, you walked away. You walked away. You couldn't take it anymore. Walked
I
away.
threw it.
The only two things that I enjoyed about this book, the cover, David Finch is, I think it's David Finch, is an awesome artist. Do I love that Batman cover? That's pretty badass. And then the other part I do like is they are going back and referencing all the other story arcs, the War of Jokes and Riddles and stuff like that. So it is trying to make a connection there. Now, loosely, very loosely. But he's still got, what, 13 more issues, I think, on this book?
Just stop. Just don't do it. Just stop right there. Let somebody who knows how to actually grip people with their writing and not their own mental issues. Again, I swear to God, we're going to find out in a few years, if not here soon, that old Kingy boy's got some issues and he's in a mental ward, because this is not comic book writing. This is self-reflection, and he's hiding it under the guise of a comic book. This is, somebody needs to sit down and have a talk with this guy. And I'm surprised I'm the only one that's saying this. Like, it's evident. Go back and read it. It's very evident that this person's writing from his own. I get every writer should pull from their own experience, but you don't write to fix your own experience. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
Man, you got issues.
Yeah, he's probably already written the next 13 issues and he's done with it now. But although now he's going on to Batman and Catwoman after this. So I'll probably buy the first issue of that to see what it's like. And it's probably
finding out that King got dumped in middle school dance or something, and he never got over it or some shit like that. It's so just ridiculous.
You said Bane, not Kane?
No, I said we're going to find out that King, the writer.
Oh, King Tonking. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're going to find out that he got dumped in middle school and he never really got over it or some shit.
Dude, we all got dumped in middle school at the middle school dance, standing awkwardly along the sidelines, waiting for some girl because we're too embarrassed to go talk to her. Let's see. What do I want to talk about? What else did I read? We'll talk about that in a minute because I read it twice and there's a lot of stuff going on. And I'll let you start on that one then. Let's just do this. Let's talk about Adventures of Super Sons number 11. This is another one of those books, as I talked about in Batman, the last Batman, where all the other stories are kind of coming together finally, and it's like, okay, there's a connection here. Because it seems like a lot of these stories from Super Sons have been like, dude, where the hell does this fit in? What the hell? Why are we talking about a robot or cyborg, a Hex, Jonah Hex? I'm like, this is freaking weird. Why is he even connected in here? Then this book here is this big battle, and all these other characters that have shown up throughout the book, the older Superman, the older Batman show up, or the Robin, show up to help protect him. The Jonah Hex, hey, you killed my friend Jonah Hex, I'm here to blast you. Hey, the taxi driver guy is back. All these people are back to fight this battle when this Rex Luthor is trying to go to Earth to destroy it. So they're trying to stop the cube from activating the cube to get into Earth to be able to destroy it. So it's kind of nice that all these characters are back to kind of wrap it up, because I was trying to figure out where these other ones fit into the story. Why is there a dimension with an older Superboy and Robin? Why is there a dimension with an Old West with Jonah Hex? That just didn't all fit for me. It's loose, very, very loose. It's like, it doesn't make a great connection, but at least they're back to kind of help fight this big battle. One more issue to go on this, and then that's it for Super Sons. I'm sure they might be in something else again. This has not been as good as the ongoing Super Sons that was out last year. I know Drew made a big stink about that, how they were canceling that when Bendis came on and everything, because I guess he had other plans with Superboy. Who knows? But this has not been as good, but it's been okay. I'm a fan of Tomasi. So it's a stash just because got one issue left to go, and I'll complete that run, and then I'll probably never, ever read them again. We'll see, but they'll be in my collection for a good while though. So that's Super Sons number 11, and we'll go back to Joe on what else you got today.
Oh, so much stuff. I have not done one indie book yet. And now that I look at them, there's a reason why. So let's go over to Marvel. All right. So, War of the Realms, right? This is good. This is a good Young variants or Young Guns variant cover too. I found this one, this issue, a little weird, and there's a good reason why it's weird. One, there's so many tie-ins at this point that it's really starting to muddle up the main story because things are going on in this issue, and if you bought the one issues for all the other ones, but not the 2, 3s, and 4s where they're at, things are changing very dramatically and a little nuancing. Is it a big deal? Not so much. You can still follow the story, but then you're like, hey, I thought this character was, in Africa with this team doing this. Why are they here now? And a lot of backstory being thrown into this as well. So it's kind of an odd story. Not really sure. Are you telling me to be quiet, or you guys?
No, my son just burst into the room. My friend's leaving, and I'm like, dude, just
go ahead and tell him. That's fine. This isn't a professional quality show here, man.
I try to be.
So yeah, I got a little lost in this story, and then I swore I would not buy all the tie-ins for it. I did get all the number 1 issues, and of course, I always have my rule: if I'm going to review it, a book or a story, I have to at least do 2, maybe 3 issues into it, and I'm now regretting that because that Journey into Mystery one's garbage, and a lot of them are they're fading out. And I think I've made my opinions about Agents of Atlantis very clear. I find that to be a very problematic book. But again, a lot of it's starting to bleed into where some of the stuff does kind of affect this storyline in here, but it's not overly important. Thor's coming to kick some butt, and I think he's had enough of Malekith, and he's about to drop that body, and he's on his way. Why is he hanging upside down from a tree? Because Daredevil told him to. I don't know. He's got the metal arm now. Apparently, he's going to have a different leg too, because that's how Daredevil put him in the tree, by throwing the axe to hold him, which wouldn't work that way. But regardless, now that I talk about this, it even sounds stupid. I'm blasting this. This was a garbage book. Like, I should have thought about this a little bit more. It's just ridiculous at this point. But I'm going to stash it because I am curious how it ends.
Yeah, you really don't know how glad I'm here to say that you got confused by this book because I was totally lost. And now since the book said, you know what, I'm gonna put this aside for a minute. I'll see if Joe talks about it first. And now, I'm like, I'm so glad that you're confused with it too, because I'm reading through it and I'm going, dude, because they had a really good balance on the first couple issues of transferring between the different characters and where they were going, and they were on the different missions. Cap was on his mission and Punisher was on his mission, and it really had a great balance in flow of what was going on. This, oh my God, there was just so much going on that was hard for me to follow. I was like, I don't know who that person is, because like toward the end they had the people fighting in the mask, and I was totally lost of who they were. Yeah, the same thing. Why the hell is Thor hanging upside down in a tree? That whole thing. I mean, did he really come back already, or is he still up there processing, trying to figure out how to destroy this? They talked about that Odin had done it as well, but it took him like 6 days to figure out the problem.
Yeah. I'm not sure where they're getting that the logos for that particular story of Odin hanging upside down from a tree, because he got all of his knowledge throughout eternity for sacrificing his eye in Norse mythology. Mm-hmm. So I don't understand this tree. I don't understand why it's on fire. There's a lot I don't understand. And maybe it's my ignorance that's making the story confusing to me, which is fine. But again, I don't there's a lot of randomness in this book, I think, is the biggest thing.
Yeah, there definitely is. I do like. I don't remember seeing it before. Maybe I did. Balder the Brave. That he was kind of cool to see in there. He's driving the Ghost Rider's car. I don't remember her being called Thunderhulk before. Maybe I missed that as well. But this is a lot going on. What's the other characters that were in here that I don't think have been seen before? Captain Britain. I don't know if he's been in there.
He's Italian for War Strike. Yeah.
Okay, he's been in there before. In this story, he's been in here.
Not in the main line of the tie-in.
Oh, in a tie-in. Okay.
Captain Marvel and all them.
I've not been reading any of the tie-ins either, too. So that may be muddling stuff up for me as well. I did love. We're dwarves. We tell time by glow of the cave moss. What 3 o'clock mean when they're riding with Iron Man? This little Iron Man dwarves out there. That just makes me giggle inside. That makes me feel warm.
Funny.
Yeah. But yeah, it was so hard for me to follow. I read through this twice and skimmed it a third time, and I still was a little bit lost on what was going on. And the only reason that I would stash this book, I mean, it's not a simple read as like Savage Avengers, where it's like, ooh, grunt, me, slam, cut stuff, break stuff. And the only reason I would stash it because we're almost done with it. We got one issue left to go in this story arc. But other than that, dude, it was difficult to read for sure.
It was rough, no doubt.
The only other one that I have left to talk about is Scout Comics Category 0. This is what I was asking you before the show. You said you read Sector 0. This is Category 0. So this talks about essentially a virus that only affects 1% of the population. Doesn't necessarily kill them. It's a 1%ers. And then there's this college professor talking about it. Sorry. It's a Strix virus, was first discovered over 20 years ago when scientists at Synantis, the largest research and development company, have eventually devised a way to test individuals for the virus, leading to the shocking discovery that we are all, in fact, infected. Thankfully, the virus is utterly harmless to all but 1% of the population. And so they're in a college course. So one jock dude raises his hand. So that's why they're called the 1%ers? And everybody laughs at him, and the professor says yes. So I don't know if they're trying to make some political statement in there with that 1%ers and saying that the 1%ers are affected by this virus or not. But we come to find out that her husband was a professor there. He is part of that 1%. He's actually into this special community for those 1%ers because he's infected. And they see him once a week. They hook up, and this shows a little meat and potatoes. Where is it? No nudity, but there's Mike's meat and potatoes for you. Her stripping down to get ready to do the brown chicken, brown cow with her husband.
Mike's happy now.
Mike's happy. And so it goes on. They visit her husband in this community. They leave. The wife that was talking about the 1%ers in that college course is with their daughter. They're in a bank, and this guy starts sneezing, and this little girl says, "What's wrong with him?" She says, "I don't know. Don't point. Don't stare." And all of a sudden, this guy's, I guess, maybe powers manifest, and he starts essentially causing an earthquake inside, or the building to start shaking, to where the building ends up collapsing, and you see the little girl of the professors, little bloody bunny hanging outside the bank. So apparently they got killed in the bank. But that's how that book ends, is just like that. So we don't know what these 1%ers are going to do. Maybe they'll take their combined wealth and figure out how to solve this problem or round up all the other people that may be causing problems. Definitely, it's it's a blast, especially after me talking about it verbally out here the one percenters and what they're trying to maybe achieve with this book politically. Whatever. It's a blast though. That is Category 0 by Scout Comics. Adim, here, Tone Lima, Derek Dow, and Adim Kaimil. I don't know, sounds like a Middle Eastern name, but it's a blast. And that's the last book I read. I got a couple other books to talk about briefly, but we'll go ahead and go to, and of course, I am frozen again on the screen. You rat bastard. You dirty rat, you're going to get it. Go ahead, Joe.
Are we doing a lightning round? Where are we at?
Yeah, we're just at an hour over. Yes, let's go into lightning round.
Okay, so yeah, let's run through a lightning round real quick. We'll start with my indies. Sector 0, not to be confused with Category 0. This is actually a pretty good book. I love this. This is good, just comic book tropes. Standard comic book telling. It's not overly eccentric. It doesn't want you to think a whole lot. It just wants you to enjoy the characters and the story in it, and that's why I stash it. Next, Star Bastard, arrogant prick douchebag that somehow or another gets stuck doing good deeds. What's not to say? That's good stuff. Is this a hard stash for me? No. Once this gets boring, I'll throw it away. This is just something extra that I buy to help support local comic book shops. Sharky, same exact story. Sharky the Bounty Hunter. This one's just slightly different, where it takes more of a bounty hunter routine to it instead of a smuggler. But I don't mind this story so much because we find out in this one that Starkey does have a heart and he does live by some sort of code of ethics, which I found interesting. And next, Shape of Elvira. This story got stupid. Hey, guess what? All of a sudden, Elvira realized that her co-star, a swamp monster, is a real swamp monster. She found that out in issue 3. We all knew this in issue 1. Okay. Moving on to DC. Shazam number 6. They're gearing up. This is a filler issue. We see Billy Batson's father, his biological father, in this issue. Really heart-wrenching story there. Sure, it's not going to turn out in the best situations. He seems to have a little bit of a past, some trouble with the law. And then his foster brothers and sisters are all split up in different worlds and they're in their own little dangerous situations. Also, the Chica's name, I forget her name, the one that's actually 18 years old, she decides to tell the foster parents, yes, we're superheroes, and Shazam's right in front of them. What does that turn into? We don't know. But I didn't like this issue, so I'm blasting that one. Next, Old Man Quill, great spaghetti western going on here. If you don't know, in this issue, they killed the church of the church people, the religious dogma people, killed Fing Fang Foom to see if Quill was in the belly. And of course he wasn't. He's out saving people and being a hero. However, this one's kind of weird. Also, they killed Pulsar in this one as well. Where's my notes at? So yeah, they dropped Pulsar in this one as well. A lot of good stuff. I really like this one. We got a lot of stuff coming. Galactus, we come to find out, is the god that that this church, the Church of Truth or whatever they call themselves, that's technically their god that they worship. And one of the higher ups kind of told Galactus, "Hey, Slick, over there at Earth, yeah, check it out. X-Men are dead. Fantastic Four's dead. You can go eat that place if you want, because we know you've been wanting to chomp on that for a while. So it looks like we got some Galactus goodness about to happen here." What I found interesting about this book, if I can go on one small tangent, we find out that dogmas and politics inside of religion are kind of go hand in hand. And to some degree, that would be true. Now, before everybody starts shutting off their computers and having a problem with me, allow me to explain. You have the faithful foot soldiers that are down there trying to hunt down Quill. Now, I'm totally excerpting the fact that they're trying to kill somebody in their church, right? That's whatever. But let's talk about the foot soldiers that are chasing them down. They are of extreme faith. Even the guy flying around, kind of like a pulsar type of deal. And then when they report to, like, the senior management type people, she's like, "Oh yeah, sorry, I'll piece his body, blah, blah, blah," while she's taking a drink. But until she finds news that will put her in a higher status to talk to Galactus. I thought that was interesting. That's a lot of people's criticisms of religions and churches and things along those lines. not to be controversial in any way, but if you show me a church that does not have a board of directors, then I'll agree with you that that's a real church there for faith and not business. Fair enough. It's a little, probably not. Please don't hunt me down. Okay, moving on. Old Man Logan, another great spaghetti western. This is great. I love this. We meet a Hulk killer in this one, and apparently this thing is no joke. Like, it dropped Wolverine with very minimal effort, to the point to where Baby Hulk and the lady that's taking care of him had to run and escape. And then we also find out that Sabretooth shows up. He's torturing the cannibals from the last issue, and we finally find out that he's actually working for somebody. It's not just Sabretooth chasing down Wolverine in this one. He's legitimately working for somebody to make that happen. I can't wait to find out who the mystery bad guy is. And Baby Hulk's been making me laugh. I kind of like that. Next, we got Deadpool. I had to go with that cover. I don't normally pick up a lot of Deadpool, but this one was actually kind of funny. Not a lot of fourth wall breaking in this one. In this one, we just got straight up dialogue, and we meet the dollar bin knockoff versions of characters. Like, they have a Captain Australia, the Tasmanian Devil, and Nuke. And to help them battle the trolls in Australia, this is a War of the Realms tie-in too, because they all are. The Avengers dropped off Deadpool, and they were like, "Oh, really? Just you? No Thor? No, nobody else?" And he's like, "Nope, you got me. Let's do this." Funny read. A lot of references because that's Deadpool's shtick. But again, no fourth wall breaking in that one. I thought that was interesting. I was like, "Where's that?" Because that's his thing too. But apparently that didn't happen. And then, last but not least, and I think I covered this book thoroughly on my own show, and I promised I wouldn't get too deep into it, and that is Cosmic Ghost Rider Destroys the Marvel Universe. I like this. Just quick overview without getting deep. Frank Castle's arguing with Frank Castle in the garage. They get into a fight. After the fight, they realize that they have more in common. Whether he's telling the truth or not, they still like each other. And Cosmic Ghost Rider had a lot to do with the Howling Commandos and Captain America backstory because he traveled back in time. There's your review. Was it good? Hell yeah, it was good. We see the Howling Commanders get all inglorious bastards on some Nazis. Hell yeah. Frank Castle's in heaven because he's legitimately dropping Nazis everywhere, and that's okay by any standard. It was good. I really enjoyed that story, and that's my haul for this week.
Okay, I've only got a couple of books to show off. I didn't read. Comic Store suggested this one. This guy, it was just a cover by, and that's that Deadpool 13. That's that same cover that you showed. But I noticed last night, I'm not going to see this in the audio, right there on her boob, that little white spot, there's a little black dot. So I'm like, was that part of the cover? I looked at the cover online. Nope, that's not. So I don't know what that is on that cover. Maybe somebody decided to put a nipple on her. I don't know. But yeah, right there, a little white spot on her right breast.
Yeah.
I have a little black dot. Looks like almost like a Sharpie point. Poop, pushed down right on it.
It is not on mine.
Yeah, so you could see it there in my. But I mean, that's a pretty badass cover. I like that cover a lot, even though it has a mark on it. And the other one was a cover by, and it has something wrong with it too. But I talked to my comic shop. I was okay with it, and that is Shape of Elvira #3. That's the photo cover. And I guess right up here, it's kind of hard to tell because there's some smoke and stuff in the background. It's a black cover. But right up here, I guess there is a little rub mark right there. Almost looks like a little piece of smoke. And I told him, you know what?
Just a little rub. Just a little rub.
And I said, hey, it's an Elvira photo cover. It's going to have some rubs on it. So I told him that. He laughed at me. So that is my haul for the week. And I did pick up this book from your suggestion. I was a little taken back that it was not a comic book. That's what I understood what it was. But I'll try giving it a read anyhow. And that's The Sunstorms. Picked up that book from... got a hold of him on Facebook. I watched your video on your channel talking about you talked to him. This is making an interesting story. So I picked it up and I flipped it on. There are words, just words, no pictures. I thought
Yep,
it was
this is a comic book.
I thought it was a comic book, but I'll give it a shot. I thanked him. I did. So he did sign it for me. That's why I got to hold him on Facebook. He did get it signed for me. So
Nice.
I'll try to be reading that. I'll probably, like, if I end up going camping or something over the summer, I'll probably bring that with me and be reading it at night in my tent with my scouts. I did get quite a few other older books, but I'm not going to go into those right now. I might do a haul or something on my channel, or maybe do something different here. So that is the books for the week. We are done. So make sure you go.
Good night.
That's it. Good night. Make sure you go check out our Patreon. I was just looking up for the books that I had ordered, and I can't find them. I was going to talk. I know one of them was a Venom book, and one of them was a Vampirella book. So I got to look those up. Maybe I'll post those online.
Did you send out this month yet?
No, not yet. So that's why I got to figure out which is the first one coming in, and that'll be the first one going out. So I did not do that, Ray, but I will announce the winner. Maybe I'll do a live video or something later tonight announcing the winner for the book for May and get that out to them. I did get Comcis Explains book out already. That was the first appearance of Bucky as Captain America. That was Captain America 25. So that's gone. That's out. Definitely that. I mean, what we're talking about here is our Patreon. So what we have is one book a month we give away. It's usually somewhere in the neighborhood of $15 to $25 book. Some like that Captain America book I think cost about $20. Sometimes it's a key book. Sometimes it's like a book from Comic Mint or one of those kind of comic exclusive ones that has a cool cover with a great artist on it. But you can enter that contest by joining our Patreon. And you can enter that you get one entry for $1, two for $2, three for $3. And we also have the cover of the week where we try to give out to. And as well as if you want to do like a one-time Patreon thing, we can get you one of these cool Blast or Stash It shirts sent out to you, maybe some stickers too. We're working on some of that other stuff. That's it for our Patreon, but definitely go check out our Podbean, which we still haven't recorded the Saga episode yet. My wife has read it, but we have not recorded it. She's a lot of other stuff going on, personal life. She's out of town this weekend, so haven't recorded it yet. But we do take the audio from this show, move it over there. We do have a couple of other stuff on there to interview and stuff. But I think we need to try to set up another interview with the creator, Joe and I, to get that on there as well. Now check out our Facebook page. Great way to interact with us there. If you want to get like everything in one kind of meal, one sit down, you want to get all that information what's in that, you can check out our website. It has links to our Instagram, it has links to our Facebook, it has links to our YouTube and our podcast. You can get all that information right there if you want to check that out. So that's stuff that I'm updating. I got a little blog page. I did talk about some kind of change, and I'm reading some other books now too. I might do a quick little blog on that on there as well. So definitely go check out that. That link is in Facebook, and it'll be in the description of this show tonight. I don't think I have anything else. Joe, do you have any last minute shots or anything you want to talk about? Any contests you're entered in or out there that people should be looking for?
Yeah, actually, on Monday, tomorrow, the Comic Corps should be announcing their Do You Want to Go to Baltimore contest, where you get to hang out and party with the Comic Corps. If you don't know the Comic Corps, I shame on you. Like, I don't know. They're a whole bunch of good guys. They legitimately have a show every night of the week. They do a lot of good stuff, and they want to hang out with you in Comic Corps. So they're going to do a contest where they're going to ask that you make a video. By the way, if you haven't been to the Baltimore Comic Con, it is quite the experience. Myself and Spectacular Spider Grandpa, we went last year. It's where I first met Chad, I should say, and Comics Misexplained, and kind of started this whole crazy community thing for me. But Baltimore is a good time, lots of good food, lots of good just stuff, and they have tons of comic books there too. So that's a big contest that's happening right now. I'm considering another contest on my channel. I just don't know what I want people to do for the contest yet. I'm still thinking about that. I know what I'm going to give away, but I just don't know what to do. So if you have any suggestions, leave them in the chat, because I'll be in the chat tonight as well, or at least I don't know how sober I'll be, but I'll be in the chat. I don't have to be at work until like 10 tomorrow. So check out our Patreon, get involved. join us in the chat. Check out our individual channels. There's always, if you like comic books, there's always something to do here on YouTube and online where you can engage and we can talk about that stuff. Again, I'll be in the chat tonight. So, yeah, that should be interesting.
I will probably be off and on in the chat. The show would premiere this at 7 p.m. My time, and I get off at 7, so I'll be driving. Maybe I'll have it like running in the car, listen to it through Bluetooth, but I might be updating the chat as well. So make sure you leave us a comment down below. Make sure, if it's your first time here, subscribe to our channel. Give us a thumbs up. Spread the word. Spread the love of the Blasted or Stash It crew. Even though we're dwindled down to just a couple of us right now, I'm hoping to get that changed. But unfortunately, life and schedules and all that other stuff take precedence over reviewing comic books, reviewing these nice, funny books. One other thing I want to add, you can see behind me, my shelves are all empty here. All my Funkos are gone. I'm getting ready to be moving here probably in the next month. So I'm just packing stuff up right now because moving is inevitable, and I just want to get a jump start on it. So my man cave's getting doodled down. I have nothing on the walls anymore, hardly any Funkos up, but be looking forward to that new man cave that will be showing up here soon, and I'll probably do a tour of that once that's all set up as well. So with that, whether you blast it or whether you stash it, happy reading, and we'll catch you guys in the chat and see you next week.